So I'm starting to think I might be wrong about something. There are a lot of rumors and teases hinting towards something happening at Netherrealm Studios, and it may not be Injustice 3. I mean, it probably is, but there's a potential it's not. So I want to talk about it. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe, and let's get into it. So a few months ago, I sat down, I pulled all of the numbers and tried to figure out what exactly Netherrealm Studios announcements, releases, DLC, etc. schedule was. The obvious one is every 2 years they drop a new game. Everyone knows that. However, I did come to a conclusion that we probably will be getting some type of announcement in February next month. Now, I am still sticking to this. The numbers add up, Boone's been teasing stuff like crazy, but I'm unsure exactly if it is Injustice 3. So here are my thoughts or possibilities of what NetherRealm is actually working on. The first and most obvious is we're going to get more Mortal Kombat 11 DLC. More story modes or characters. This isn't that hard to believe. A bunch of data miners have shown roster slots open, and well, MK11 is still doing pretty well as a community. The Combat League is pulling really good numbers, and most fans are still itching to get their favorite characters in. I personally got all my favorites in. I got Jade, Cassie, and Baraka. I'm very happy, but I would be lying to you if I didn't want to see Reptile. And I don't think it would hurt Mortal Kombat to follow suit in the same practice like Tekken and Street Fighter, having a streamlined season pass. I mean, Tekken 7 is going on 5 years right now, I think, and they're in the middle of season 4. So Mortal Kombat definitely has the longevity to do this. However, to go against this, usually when NetherRealm Studio releases their souped up version of a game, in this case Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate, it usually means they're done with DLC. They've gone with the whole every 2 years schedule almost flawlessly, and of course hoping that the COVID-19 pandemic didn't really cause a hiccup, we should be getting an announcement for something new quite soon. Now the question is, what is the announcement for? Like I said, Injustice 3 is the most obvious answer. It's what I personally want the most. For those who don't know, the DC Universe reboots quite often. Having this happen will allow Injustice as a series to essentially live on forever. They can always just make essentially a new storyline and continue the story just like Mortal Kombat has done for years. And this channel is mostly about Injustice. I mean, I've made a dozen or more videos on the subject, but I'm starting to read a lot of things and talking to a lot of people and their opinions, and I think there are some other options. Let's talk about one that came up really briefly, and I'm going to start off. This is a complete long shot, and the chances of this are probably slim to none, but couple weeks ago, Ed Boon posted this. I said it was a long shot. When it comes to fighting games, Street Fighter is kind of the leader. Actually, no, they are the leader. Having a crossover with them would be huge for the fighting game community as a whole. They've already had crossovers with Marvel and SNK and Tekken. Oh my god, Tekken. Street Fighter vs. Tekken was huge. That was hype as hell when that was announced. It wasn't that exciting when it finally came out, but regardless, it still was a huge event. If I'm correct, Tekken is still working on their side of the crossover, where it's going to be the Street Fighter's in a Tekken style game, which sounds awesome. Having a crossover with Mortal Kombat, I think, would actually spice up the gaming community a little bit. But this is definitely the least likely out of everything I'm about to mention. Now, while we're talking about crossovers, we can't ignore this interview.
You ever had one conversation with Marvel about making a fighting game?
Yes.
What? When?
I think a proper Marvel versus DC game is inevitable. We will have it eventually. My hopes are obviously that I want NetherRealm Studios to do it. Seeing the battles between Iron Man and Batman, or like the Hulk versus Superman, or like Harley versus Deadpool, these would be literally legendary. I don't want to talk that much about this because honestly I feel this is a video in its own right, but I can't deny this could be one of the biggest crossovers ever. And yes, I mean ever. This last one I want to talk about actually comes from my stream. So shout out to all the guys in my stream that were chatting with me about this a couple weeks ago. A crazy left field pick would be Mortal Kombat vs. DC 2. I mean, it's coming on 13 years since the original, and Mortal Kombat is starting with a new slate in the next game, and Injustice could be following suit. Marvel vs. Capcom has shown that it works. The whole crossover idea really sells. And Mortal Kombat vs. DC sold almost 2 million units. With new gen graphics, mechanics, and a solid new fan base, this could be a total win. I'm not going to argue about the gore aspect. If you've read some of the new stuff in the DC Black Label in the comics in the last couple of years, it can get pretty gruesome. And have you seen some of the Injustice Supers? I mean, no one would survive this. So if it's not the next game, I'll go on a limb here and say it will be the following game. But that's my idea of what's going on at at Netherrealm Studios. Let me know in the comments below what you think Netherrealm Studios is working on, and as I mentioned earlier, I stream on Twitch every Sunday. Come and hang out. My Twitch page is in the links below, along with all my social media tags. If you like the video today, don't forget to leave it a like and subscribe. My name is Phil, and of course, I'll talk to you guys soon.